Grand Rising, people. Let me open or crack a light code that goes back to the book of Isaiah. In the latter chapters of Isaiah, you come across a passage that says, "They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not get weary. They shall walk and not faint." So to give you a quick metaphysical and practical everyday breakdown of this scripture, first let's address the confusion over some miswording that gets implemented a lot amongst what we would call the Christian community. A lot of times what people are doing are actually, they're not waiting on the Lord, they're waiting for the Lord. And when you're waiting for the Lord, you don't know for sure whether or not you're going to get it. The approval of what it is you desire is not based on your own belief. And this is actually false, according to the scriptures, because later on in the New Testament, you have Jesus saying, "To anyone who believes, they receive." So to wait for the Lord is already a direct contradiction that you're going to receive something that you believe, because you're not waiting for something you believe. Jesus says anyone who believes receives. If you believe, it is yours. You don't have to wait for any lords to give it to you. So let me tell you let me give you an interpretation on this Isaiah passage. To wait on something is the same thing like a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant. They're waiting on guests. They're serving the guests their meal. They're serving the people who come into their restaurant. They're waiting on them. So you're waiting on the Lord. What is the Lord? See, we're not talking about who, because who is not going to help you. Who is going to put you in a line, and you don't know how far in front of the line you are or how far in back of the line you are. You can live in this life and die not receiving what you hoped for if you wait for the Lord, because the scripture doesn't say to wait for the Lord. It says to wait on the Lord. And again, what is the Lord? The Lord is the spirit of authority, the spirit of ownership. So the spirit of ownership is not something you wait for. It's something that you assume. It's something that you decide right then in the now moment to embody. So you are like a waiter or a waitress serving your authority, serving your dominion, serving your power. You are serving meals. You're providing food for thought. You're providing sustenance. You're providing nourishment to the part of you that takes responsibility, to your own sovereign identity, to your own spiritual sovereign identity. You're waiting on that. You're not waiting for that. You're waiting on that. To wait for it is to stand around and wait for something to physically show up. But for you to take the preemptive move, for you to make the first move, that's not waiting for, that is waiting on. You're taking an order. So you're waiting on the power. You're serving the power. You're not waiting for absolute power. You're waiting on absolute power. You're serving absolute power. You're already in an exchange between orders and meal preparations for that part, for the Lord, for the sovereign part of you. And that's going to renew your strength. You're going to renew your strength by, a lot of people call it pep rallies. What are they doing in the pep rallies? They're waiting on the Lord. That's what happens in pep rallies. People are boosting themselves up till they feel charged up, till they feel powerful, till they feel authoritative, till they feel Lord-like. They are boosting themselves up in their lordship. Another passage says, and David encouraged himself in the Lord. So he encouraged himself in his own authority that he was given, that every human being is given. You just step into it. You don't wait for it. You wait on it. You serve it. You don't wait for it to serve you. See, the moment you start catering to your own power is the very moment that your power starts to serve you. See, your power and your destiny is not waiting on you, is waiting for you. But when it comes to your legacy, your destiny, your purpose, your path, you don't wait for it. You wait on it. You serve it. So this is how you renew your strength. This is how you mount up on wings like eagles. And again, you have messages that deal with the flight of the eagle, the power of the eagle, the height of the eagle, where it lives, how it flies. I'm going to tell you about how it sees and how important the vision of the eagle is. Not so much being able to see so clearly as to have eagle vision to see beyond 2020. I mean, eagles have the ability to see things in different colors, to see colors that we can't see on this spectrum. They can see colors from an entirely different light spectrum. So what makes this authoritative grasp and authoritative possession palatable for the eagle concept is that a sign of true authority is a person's ability to paint the world in a different color, in a color that you've never seen. That's the sign of a spiritual eagle. A spiritual eagle can paint life in a whole different color. This is the eagle. You're mounting up on wings like eagles. And you run, and here's the run and not get weary part. People are not getting tired of you when you make your run. You run and not get weary. People, you're not giving up. You don't feel like at some point in this that is worthless, that is taking more from you than giving to you. You are fulfilled in this. See, if you're getting weary while you run, then that's evidence of you waiting for something instead of waiting on something. See, if you're serving power, if you're refilling your car when it's going around the NASCAR circuit, if you're refueling, then you can keep going. You're still going to be going around and around on the track, but you have to still be waiting on the Lord. You still have to be serving and being a waiter and a waitress to the power that you need. You still have to serve yourself. Yes, you still have to be self-serving, because who else is going to give you the power but you? You have to give yourself the power. You have to boost yourself up. You have to motivate and encourage yourself and inspire yourself and put a fire under yourself. You have to wait on the Lord, not wait for the Lord. You have to wait on your authority. Serve your authority. Don't wait for your authority to be given, because it won't be given. The last couple hundred years is proof that people have been waiting for the Lord for power that has not been given to them yet. But if you wait on the Lord, you will take the power that he has given you already and begin to operate in it. You're running and not getting weary. You're getting more strength the more you grind, the more you speak, the more you teach, the more you give, the more you love, the more strength comes back to you. So you're not getting weary when you run. And when you walk, you're not fainting. Let's talk about the walking and not fainting. Not walking and fainting under the illustration of passing out in the desert from dehydration and heat, but walking and not fainting, which is to say not to throw a fake punch or a fake move in combat. Because at the same time, this is a form of combat too. So when a person faints in combat, when they're fainting, they're giving you a fake move. They're giving you a feint because they want you to swing at something that's not there. We're not into giving you misdirection. So when we walk, we don't faint. When we walk, we step. We step straight. We walk straight. We're not giving you any feints. We're not trying to sucker you in. We're not trying to misdirect you. We're being straight up with you, straight up and down. So that's what it means to walk and not faint. So we're not giving you any false moves. We're bearing our heart out. Again, as much as the universe would allow us to say in this moment. So this is the eagle, and this is that passage that has tripped up generations after generations of a lot of copper-skinned people. So this is to get you out of the waiting pattern, because waiting has two definitions. One is to sit idle and wait on something. And then the second definition of waiting is to serve something or someone. And we're talking about the self. You have to be self-serving. You have to be self-serving. Let me give you one last illustration of what self-serving really means. Let me break it down for you. Because there's such a negative connotation on self-serving that we make it to be equated with selfishness. Well, let me ask you this. Can you, being the only one with access to a kitchen, provide food for the people who are seated at the table without having them get up and without having you move food out of the kitchen? No, you have to grab the food first. You have to first be self-serving. You have to be the first one to take the bread out of the oven, to take the food off of the stove, to take the food out of the pans. You have to be the first one to serve. You have to be the first one to touch the food. You have to be the first one to deal with what it is that you give to the world. No one has a message from God that is for other people. It might extend to other people, but the message is for the person to whom the message is coming in for at that moment. This message isn't about people all over the world. It starts with you. And if it is about people all over the world, then the process that is that somebody has to take the food out of the kitchen. The food is not going to walk itself out of the kitchen. The chicken is not going to jump out of the grease and jump onto the plate. And the plate is not going to do a hovercraft move, UFO move, and hover and fly over to the person's dinner table right there on their placemat, their dinner mat. No, you have to physically grab what it is that you have to offer to the world. And you have to be the bringer of that. You have to be the receiver of your own message first. Because if you don't, there'll be no conviction sensed in your aura, no conviction, no persuasion. There'll be no belief. There'll be no backbone in what it is that you're saying. And they will know that you are a fraud because you didn't touch the food first. You were saying that this pastor and that bishop said it. Well, what about you? Have you tasted and saw that authority is good? Have you tasted to see that the Lord is good? Have you tasted to see that your own sovereignty and your own responsibility and your own potential is good? Have you tasted your own potential? Have you tasted your own power? Have you served yourself yet? Or are you still under the illusion that you have to be selfless? No, because if you're selfless, then you won't have a self to offer to anyone else. How can you help somebody if you don't help yourself? The guests are seated at the table. They got the napkins over their lap. They got the napkins tucked in to their shirt at the top. The forks and the knives are all lined up. And now you tell them that they have to go up and go in the kitchen to get their food. No, you bring it to them. You wait on it. Wait on it. They're waiting on you. No, you're waiting on them and they're waiting for you. So they're seated. The person who is waiting on the power has to physically go after that power. But if you're only seated, that means you're waiting for the power. You're waiting for, and you're not waiting on. So this is, again, that Isaiah passage that talks about the waiting on the Lord and the renewal of the strength and being able to mount up on wings like eagles. Being able to run and not get weary and not get tired of what you do. Being able to walk and not misguide. So again, this is Super T Sigma reporting live from the Oracle Zone, saying peace, grand rising.